Flakist with another video. Today we're gonna talk about turkey pot pie. The way I used to love you, baby, don't wanna know, no, so. All right, enough of that nonsense. Let's get down to business. Turkey pot pie. So you had your Thanksgiving, you've got all kinds of leftovers. What are you gonna do? Turkey pot pie, of course. It's the perfect solution. My suggestion is when you're making your Thanksgiving pies, make an extra batch of dough so you can do this. It works great. Alexa, pause. So we're gonna start with the flakiest ever pie crust. I am talking layer after layer of crisp pastry that's so buttery and flavorful, so short and tender, it just melts in your mouth. If you don't have extra pie dough, use store-bought pie crust. There's no shame in that game. Hey, the fact that you're making a pie at all, pretty big deal. But if you really want like the most incredible flavor experience, then I highly recommend you click over to my flaky pie crust recipe because it is stellar. Every time I go to make a pie, I'm like, ugh, I don't feel like dealing with the crust, but it's so effing good. When you make it yourself, I end up doing it. I end up just sucking it up. Who wants to eat a pie that's not the best possible pie, right? Like if you're gonna indulge, if you're gonna eat, you're gonna take in those calories, make them incredible. Make them so good, you guys. It's quality of life. It's a quality of life issue. So you've got your pie dough, you're gonna roll it out, you're gonna make it bigger than your pie pan. My pie crust recipe should work for a standard pie pan. You just have to roll it to the right thickness. If your pie pan's a little bit bigger or a little bit smaller, it's easy enough to adjust. Just roll it thicker or just trim off the excess. It's not rocket science. So you're gonna get that ready. You're gonna drape that over your pan. You're gonna allow like about an inch of overhang on all sides of the pan. And then I like to just slip it into a bag, like a grocery bag works really well, like a plastic grocery bag. Just slip the whole thing in there so that the dough doesn't dry out while you're working on the filling and stash it in the fridge. You want it to stay cold. Let me just make sure I'm not leaving anything out. Right, Birdie? What? Log in? Why do I have to do that? It doesn't like me today. Everything's such a process. Everything is such a process, such a lot of work. Of course, my memory card got full while I was doing all that. Anyway, the ingredients for the filling, you can really use whatever you have on hand. But personally, I like, besides turkey or chicken, I like there also to be potatoes in there, mirepoix, which is carrot, onion, and celery, peas, and corn. Love the little pop of sweetness that you get from the peas and the corn. And so does Birdie. She wants you to know that. You're also gonna need quite a bit of flour to make a nice thick filling. It doesn't all run out the minute you stick your knife into it and try to pull out a slice. White wine really carries the flavors and enhances them in the most beautiful way. Some type of stock, it can be vegetable stock, it can be chicken stock or turkey stock. Any of those will work really well. Something to make it creamy. I like to use a combination of milk and cream, but half and half will work really well too. You're gonna get seasoned with salt, garlic powder and pepper, a sprig of thyme, and some bay leaves. Your leftover cooked turkey or chicken will work really well too. And an egg to brush over the top of the pie before it goes into the oven. This will make it nice and golden brown and give it a beautiful shine. So your bottom crust is prepped, it's chilling in the fridge. Now it's time to get started on the filling. We're first gonna saute some veggies until they're tender. Then we're gonna sprinkle a little bit of flour all over and stir it around. The flour and the butter are gonna come together. They're gonna form this really gross looking paste. We call it a roux, R-O-U-X. It's French, don't let that scare you. It's 2 ingredients, butter, flour, duh, right? So you've got your tender veggies. They're all coated in this roux. Now it's time to deglaze the pan. Nothing works better than wine. I recommend using a really dry white wine. In a pinch, you can maybe get away with a rosé. If you don't like to cook with wine, that's fine. Just up the chicken stock content. It won't be as tasty, but it'll still be really good. There's something about the wine, it just adds a complexity, and the alcohol all burns away anyway, but it really does help to carry those flavors to your taste buds. So I like to use a little bit of dry white wine, deglaze the pan. Again, stir it really good. You don't want to have a lumpy filling, right? So stir it really, really well. Once that's gone in, now you can add the other liquids. You can use chicken stock, vegetable stock, turkey stock. Pour them in slowly while you're stirring to avoid lumps. You can also throw in all the seasonings. I like a combination of salt, garlic powder, pepper. I like to toss in a couple of bay leaves, gives it a really homey flavor. And a little sprig of thyme is also a really nice touch. Now that your filling's made, you're gonna let that cool down before you do another thing. I know it's hard to be patient, but you have to. In this case, you really have to. You do not want to put hot filling top of the unbaked pie crust, because if you do, it's gonna melt the butter in the dough. You're gonna have a real mess on your hands. Probably gonna end up with a soggy bottom. We don't want any soggy bottom pies. We want our pies to have a nice crisp pastry on the bottom. Make sure everything's chilled or at least cooled to room temperature. Then you can transfer your filling into that chilled bottom crust. Lay the top crust on top. Trim around the edges, fold them. Crimp them. And then beat your egg with a little bit of water just to make it like a thin enough consistency that it can be brushed on easily, and brush it all over the top of the pie. Pro tip, pop it back in the fridge. Get it nice and cold while the oven preheats. Cold pastry plus hot oven equals the most gorgeous flaky layers you have ever seen. If your pastry isn't ice cold when it hits the oven, it could leak butter. So if you've ever had that happen, now you know why. The pastry should be ice cold. In fact, I might even suggest stashing the pie in the freezer while you let the oven preheat. You're gonna get a really great result if you do it that way. This sleepy girl. Bake it off until the filling is bubbly and the pastry looks nice and golden brown. I would suggest that you flip that oven light on and keep an eye on things as it bakes. Sometimes the crust can get brown before the filling is fully heated through, so you want to make sure that's not happening. If it does look like it's happening, then just cover it lightly with foil. That'll protect that top crust from burning while allowing that filling the time that it needs to get nice and piping hot. After it comes out of the oven, you're gonna wanna let it stand and cool down a little bit before you cut into it. This way the filling can kind of cool down a little bit, firm up slightly, so that when you go to cut your pie, you get nice slices and the filling doesn't all just... And that's all there is to it. That's your turkey pot pie. As you probably noticed, all the ingredients are listed here in the description, but as always, there's tons more info on bakingamoment.com. I'm gonna include the direct link so you can click on over and either save or print the recipe if you like. And there's tons of questions answered there too. If you're not in too much of a rush, give it a read through, and if you have any questions, just hit me up in the comments section. I love hearing from you. Alexa, unpause. There, I used to love you, no, I don't wanna know. All right, you guys, I hope you really love this recipe. I'll say that for my family, this is a top favorite for my older son especially. He is my comfort food junkie. My younger one is my junk food junkie. So this one makes the older one really happy. He can't wait to enjoy it, and I hope you love it as much as he does. Take care. Loving you so, 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 so. The way I used to love you, girl.